I have some dates coming up. Come see me this weekend. If you're watching in the week of May 30th, I'm going to be at the Helium Comedy Club in Portland, one of my favorite clubs on planet Earth. I'm going to be there May 30th, 31st, and June 1st. Then after that, the Orange Peel in Asheville. One of those shows is already sold out, but we still have some tickets for the added show. Then Good Nights Comedy Club in Raleigh. Raleigh, get some tickets. How did I offend you? Come see me. That's June 14th, 15th, June 14th and 15th, and 13th. God, that was sloppy. June 13th, 14th, and 15th. Good Nights Comedy Club in Raleigh. Come see me, Raleigh. After that, I am headed to Buffalo, August 8th, 9th, and 10th. Then Side Splitters Comedy Club in Tampa, Florida. I'm excited about that. August 15th, 16th, and 17th. And finally, I'm going to be at the Wilbur November 1st. Also, there's some more dates that we're adding in to that touring schedule. I'll announce those soon. On with the podcast.
This is the DTFH.
I was going through some of my old albums when I stumbled upon this one. Breakthrough in Grey Room. William Burroughs. If you're not familiar with William Burroughs, he was a famous beat poet, an author. Maybe you saw the crazy fucking movie Naked Lunch, which I think I saw that in high school and it made me want to try heroin. Or maybe I already wanted to try heroin in high school, but I think it was that movie that drove me to ask my drug dealer at the time if he would sell heroin to me. And he sent me in his creepy bedroom, and on the wall was a blacklight painting with this cheesy poem on it, which I can't really remember, but it was some kind of warning, like, don't do heroin. Like, I am the dog that only bites the hand that feeds it. You will shake and tremble every time you need it. You know, shit like that. But it's cool that he wasn't selling high school kids heroin. Maybe not as cool that he would sell us like Xanax and Valium, but heroin was a hard limit for my high school drug dealer. The point is, Burroughs was very powerful. He romanticized heroin in this beautiful way. And he was truly an outsider. And he came up with this weird technique of telling the future called the cut-up technique. And I'm not going to try to explain it because on this album, William Burroughs explains it. Let's listen.
Now, these experiments started not on tape recorders, but on paper. In 1959, Brian Geisen said that writing is 50 years behind painting and applied the montage technique to words on a page. And this technique had already been used in painting at that time for 50 years. It was in fact kind of old hat in painting. Brian copied out phrases from newspapers and magazines, then took the scissors and cut these selections into pieces and rearranged the fragments at random. And these cut-up experiments appeared in Minutes to Go in 1959. When you experiment with cut-ups over a period of time, you find that some of the cut-ups and rearranged text seem to refer to future events. I cut up an article written by John Paul Getty and got, "It's a bad thing to sue your own father." This was a rearrangement and wasn't in the original text. And a year later, one of his sons did sue him. I mean, it's just purely extraneous information and nothing to me. I had nothing to gain on either side. We had no explanation for this at the time. It just suggesting the press, when you cut into the present, the future leaks out. But we simply accepted it and continued the experiments.
I actually have tried the cut-up technique before, and I really haven't had great results with it, but maybe something about filming it is going to change whatever happens. So if you're going to do the cut up technique, you're going to need something to cut. Some people use scissors. I suck with scissors. I'm just not good at scissors. So I use a box cutter. And I've picked a few different sources for our cut ups. Most importantly, garden and gun. I don't know when my wife subscribed to this incredible magazine, but it's perfect for using chaos to prognosticate the future. So let's just cut some random sentences out. I think that's the idea. You're not supposed to spend too much time thinking about exactly what you're cutting. You just cut. And there we go. See what I'm saying? Not a straight fucking cut. This is the problem. This technique takes forever. Let's try this. A bigger chunk. Yeah, there we go. Now, I will say this. There's something just like viscerally pleasurable about cutting up gun and gardens. It just feels good. I like the sound it makes. The slice of the box cutter against this southern paper. Here we go. So we got this. Then let's cut a few more. I'm not paying attention to what I'm cutting. I really hope that my wife is not super into this magazine. I've never seen it around the house before. I don't know who got a subscription to it. I don't know. Don't want to piss anybody off. All right, let's get cutting. Smear the glue down first. Come on. You like that? You like that? You want more? You like it? Oh, okay. Yeah, Daddy. Yeah. Oh, shit. There it goes. So here we have our first cut up using the classic cut up technique. And I'll just read it to you. Music and life gives birth to art. Your wife makes love to the gardener. Your wife makes love to the gardener. New England's charm is great. Your wife is cheating on you with the landscaper. Palm Beach. Nothing. Gobbly fucking goop. Nothing. Gobbledygook. Doesn't mean anything. I mean, look, Burroughs was on a lot of fucking dope. I guess maybe if you do it long enough, like eventually something will come out that makes sense or tells the future. But in this case, a complete waste of time, and I destroyed some great fucking books. So, oh well. That's an old school way of doing it though. Recently, I discovered a high-tech way of doing cut-ups that has a much more interesting result. I'm going to show you how to do it. This episode of the DTFH is brought to you by my dear friends over at Squarespace. Don't try to build a website yourself. There's so many other things you could do that are more exciting and potentially less dangerous. For example, you could fly to Samaria. You could find some forbidden ruins, maybe a forbidden graveyard. Go in to one of the crypts and find a leather-bound book with ink made from human blood and recite the passages within that book, you'll go mad. You'll start jabbering and gibbering of things that were and will be again, and then you'll desperately smash your head into the side of the tomb, hoping to end your own life, anything to stop the madness. This will be more fun than trying to build a website on your own, or even worse, getting someone to build it for you. My God, don't do that. Why would you, when you can go to squarespace.com and build an incredible, beautiful, dynamic, powerful website that sizes to any phone, that will put your social media feeds online instantaneously, and that will also help you write beautiful emails to your clients or fans that won't make them think they're about to have their identity stolen. Squarespace has everything you need. The process of building a website, buying a domain, it used to be a kind of modern day walking on coals, sleeping on a spiked bed, smashing your nether parts with a hammer. But it isn't like that anymore thanks to Squarespace. They have everything you need. You want to make a website quickly, like maybe a Memorial Day website for one of your friends, you could do that in seconds. Or if you want to make something deep, beautiful, and powerful as the Ganges River, like DuncanTrussell.com, you can do that too. Go as deep as you want or as shallow as you need to be with Squarespace. Right now, if you head over to squarespace.com/Duncan, you can try it out for free. And when you're ready to launch, which you will be, use offer code Duncan and you'll get 10% off your first order of a website or a domain. Again, it's squarespace.com/Duncan. Try it out for free. Try it out for free. Recognize that I mean what I say when I say that Squarespace is a gift from the divine, brought here by angels to save humanity from the horrors of trying to design a website on their own. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code Duncan, and you'll get 10% off your first order of a website or a domain. Thank you, Squarespace. Namaste. He's in this beard, but I realized that I think adults who are into getting ice cream cones are kind of embarrassing themselves. I hate to admit it. I'm sorry if I immediately lose all of you, but I don't know. There just seems to be something cloying about passing an ice cream area. And there's lines of adults waiting to get that cone. Double vanilla cone, double. I'm doubling it today. And they sit out there in their sun and they eat their fucking ice cream. It's like, whoa. That bothers me, and that's definitely inside me. That's not you. If you're an adult, if you're a grown-ass person, and you're like, today I'm going to go on an ice cream trip, and you are getting off on that somehow, great. That's great. I'm glad. As I mentioned, I think fetishes you're lucky if you have a fetish. But I guess the problem is with the ice cream fetishists, they don't realize they're kinky. Maybe that's the part that bothers me, is they think they're doing some kind of national pastime or something. They're doing something. This is what you do on a Sunday when it's hot. I mean, if you're bringing your kids to get ice cream, that's great. That's great. And I know this is completely unthought out and hypocritical, because if you're teaching your kids that ice cream is a great thing, then probably they're going to turn into ice cream losers. And they're going to, on Sundays, go down and get ice cream at the ice cream stand. But just something about it just feels off, man. Just the next time you drive by an ice cream area and you see a bunch of grown-ups slurping back their double cones with a preference. That's the other part. That they're like, ooh, I hope they have Rocky Road. I don't know why it bothers me. Again, this is all in me. I'm just being fully honest with you. This is aklesia, I think is what they call it in Buddhism, like an obscuration. Like every one of us deep down inside the rocky shell, the rocky, grotesque shell of defense mechanisms and reactionary habits and patterns, like way down there, especially for your great grandparents, like deep down in the core, is like perfection, a jewel. The comparison that gets made a lot is if you think about, extracting gold from ore. There might be gold in some rocks, but sometimes to get that gold extracted, you've got to do a lot. And every single human being on planet Earth, no matter how much they delight in getting ice cream on a hot day as adults, no matter how much they get overjoyed about going to Disneyland, like past all of that, deep inside there is an infinite, beautiful, like irrepressible, radiant light. There's different names for it. Fundamental goodness is one of the names. Some people call it the soul. Whatever you want to call it, it's in there. It's deep in there. And so the glaciers would be all the things that sort of cover that up. It's the bird shit on the windshield of your consciousness. It's like a splattering of karmic bird shit. But in this case, it's not birds that have been shitting on the windshield of your identity, but it depending on the cosmology, it's past lives. Like in many past lives, you probably didn't make great choices. Why would you have? Like, think of human history. You were out there at a witch burning, cheering. You were at a witch burning hoping that you would get picked to like light the kindling. Like, that was you a long time ago. That was all of us. So we get these obscurations, glaciers. And so I just fully want to admit I don't want to call it disdain, but my deep, abiding judgment of adults who, number one, are too into ice cream. I get it. It's a hot day. You pass an ice cream place. You want to cool down. Fine. I'm talking about the other level. Like, there's this other level. It's like a kind of caffeinated approach to life. You know what I mean? It's kind of this like overexertion in the direction of infantile hedonism or something that shows up as glorifying ice cream, glorifying like theme parks. And oh my God, I just watched a review of an angry review of this hotel at, I think, Disneyland, maybe Disney World. It's that Star Wars theme park where for 2 days you go into this hotel and it's like a theme hotel and you're on a Star Cruiser or something. Now, the problem is, in the review, many of the issues that the reviewer had with the hotel was not like room service or food or all the stuff you might worry about if you're stuck in a 2-day theme resort. The problem was places where the theme hotel diverged from lore in Star Wars, which is like, it's got to be so frustrating if you're making a theme hotel. Like, the first thing you're probably thinking is, kids are going to love this. Like, my kids will love this. It's going to feel like they're on a spaceship. You're probably not even thinking that like a 36-year-old lady with like dyed black hair sitting in a weird room filled with stuffed animals is going to do a 2-hour YouTube video on how it's completely fucked up that you were giving lightsaber lessons, Jedi lessons as one of the events in your theme hotel, because come on, the knowledge of the Jedi is something you don't give to everybody. Like, they were pissed, man. They were pissed. But the other thing is, that fucking hotel sucks no matter what. It sucks because there's no dress code. Like, if you're going to do a Star Wars theme hotel, then you have to outfit the guests. Because as far as I'm concerned, I am not going to be able to imagine that I'm on a Star Cruiser if I'm surrounded by people in fucking flip-flops and shorts and Hawaiian shirts. Like, If I am on a star cruiser, it's probably heading to a fucking prison planet. Like, I've probably been abducted. Like, I was one of the idiots who got on the ships. By the way, I don't know if you follow any of the conspiracy forums, but this is one of my favorite threads that will pop up from time to time, which is emphatically don't get on the ships. The implication being that at some point these ships are going to show up and they're going to invite humanity onto the ships. And if you get on the fucking ships, you're done. Like, they're going to eat you. They're going to enslave you. They're just going to fly outside of like the planet and dump you into space. Like, I don't know. It's like either depopulation, slavery, food, genetic experiments, but don't get on the ships. Now, this is actually a version of something that's a little more sinister, which is, we've all heard about the light that people who've had NDEs, near-death experiences, claim to see. So this is a version of that, and many people have said, don't go in that fucking light. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. You go in that light, and you're stuck in a time warp, baby. That's what you're in, basically. It's like every time you die, you keep going to that light. Like, and it's built into us to go towards light. It's built into a lot of creatures. I mean, my God, this is what sucks about candles in the evening. You want to put some candles out on your front porch and have a glass of wine, watch the sun go down. And you got to deal with the fact that you're going to watch a variety of bugs self-immolate in that candle. You'll smell them burn. They just go right towards it, man. And you have to deal with that. By the way, speaking of like sad animal-related tragedies, I just saw a picture of the front of one of those bullet trains. Google it. Oh my God. It's blood splattered. It's just completely covered in blood because those bullet trains go shooting down the fucking tracks, and whatever goes in front of it is just obliterated. People, deer, birds, dogs, probably Bigfoot, probably like cryptids, probably like angels. Maybe an angel was flying to rescue a kid and just blab, boom, like it splattered all over the front of the train to the point where they don't even try to clean it anymore. Like, what's the point? They stopped trying to clean the blood off the front of those trains. And so now it's just this maroon coat of blood on those trains. And wow. So lighting a candle on your porch, it's not quite bullet train level death, but the point is, well, forget the bullet train stuff. Maybe there's something in us that is just drawn towards light. And so if, as many say, which is the best way when you can't remember where you got some idea from, just say many say. Also, if you're interviewing somebody and you're a coward and you don't want to say like, I think you're a total piece of shit. What you could do is you go, many say you're a total piece of shit. And then you're not the one who said it. It's just many. But many say that the body acts as a kind of, sheath, a protection for the soul. And that when you die, you lose that protection for a little bit. Now, if I was some kind of hyperdimensional creature that liked to hunt souls, and for whatever reason I couldn't get them when they're inside of a body, you better fucking believe I would just go into the astral plane and hold up a light and just catch all the terrified humans who are like, oh, there it is, that's the light. Like the light in Poltergeist, go into the light. Or don't go into the light. In Poltergeist, don't go into the light. Carol Ann. Is that that's another old reference. Do you guys not know what Poltergeist is? That's sad if you don't. That movie rocked my fucking world. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Friends, there's a really weird thing that humans are capable of doing. I don't know if other animals can even do this, which is something horrible happens. We see something, we say something, we do something, we think about something, and we don't tell anybody that it happened. I guess we think that there's something inside of us that eventually will dissolve whatever the particular horrific event that happened to us was. Maybe we imagine that if we just stuff it far enough down, things will be okay. But have you ever brushed your teeth or flossed after you haven't brushed or flossed for a few days? I never have. I have incredible dental hygiene, but I have a friend who did that, didn't floss for a very long time, and he thought, you know what? Now it's time to... We're going to start over. This episode of the DTFH is supported by BetterHelp. Friends, stuffing things that happen to you deep down into the inner recesses of your identity is never a good idea because it always bubbles up. You know, I just watched the new Interview with a Vampire series, and I got to tell you, I really enjoyed it. It made me think a little bit about my sexual identity in the sense that I for sure would hook up with Lestat. I don't know what that makes me, but I'm sorry. Just watch it. Just watch it. Watch it. Like I want it. I want to be levitated by a French vampire, and like I want to be seduced by a French vampire. I'm sorry, BetterHelp, but I'm getting to a point here. In this, it's not really a spoiler. I'll try to make it as ambiguous as possible. But basically, a fledgling vampire was not disposing of bodies in the appropriate way and just wasn't thinking about it. The idea was they threw the bodies in a place where there's storms and drought. And the bottom line is the bodies float up, friends. The bodies float up. So... do you want your body to float up in the middle of a party, at somebody's wedding, at your kid's graduation? Probably not, which is why therapy might be the best choice for you, because therapists are professional body floater upper witnessers. My favorite thing about therapy is anytime I've gone to therapy and gotten it off my chest and just said the thing that's been bothering me, the thing that's been haunting me, the thing that has been making me think like, truly, maybe I'm nuts. The therapist is always like, yeah, totally, I get it. And they're not just saying that because you're paying them. If you, I'm guessing, like if you said something truly like Jeffrey Dahmer level, I don't know if they'd have that response. But when you go to a great therapist, they're seeing people all the time. They hear all the secrets, all of our secrets. And one of the things they do, aside from creating a safe space for you to exhume all of those many things that you've tried to stuff down in the dark recesses of your soul, is they help you understand that you're human and none of us are very perfect. And we do things and say things and experience things all the time that are really hard to convey to others. Therapy is the best. It has helped me so many times. I love meditation. I love the Eastern stuff, but therapy and meditation, therapy and psychedelics, if that's your thing, therapy and whatever your particular outside of default reality process may be, they go together really well. It is wonderful to have somebody to touch base with. And you learn a lot too. They teach you things. You know, therapists it's an evolving science, which is really incredible. Anytime I go back to therapy, I learn new things that I never heard before. I don't want to brag. I've got a bachelor's degree in psychology from Warren Wilson College in Asheville, North Carolina. But the stuff I was learning then, I don't know. I don't know. It seems pretty antiquated and outdated anytime I go to therapy and hear like the new cutting edge stuff that they're figuring out about the human psyche. I'm sorry, I've gone on a little too long. I just love BetterHelp. And I think you're going to love them too. If you've got something you need to get off your chest, why not give therapy a try? And BetterHelp is wonderful because it's all done completely online. You just go online, they match you with a therapist. If you don't like that therapist, you can switch to a new therapist anytime you want. It is perfect. No sitting in a lobby, which has always felt weird whenever I've gone to therapy. You can do it online, and it works just as well, if not better. So I hope you'll try it out. Visit betterhelp.com/Duncan today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp.com/Duncan to get 10% off your first month. Thank you, BetterHelp. I hope that wasn't too dark. I meant every word of it, but let me know. The way that I figured out how old I was when my parents got divorced, because I couldn't remember, is I remembered the movies I watched the summer before it happened. And Poltergeist was one of them. Annie. And I think because my aunt, who I was staying with at the time, knew that my folks were splitting up, she was just letting us go to any fucking movie that we wanted. And it was incredible. We had no idea that we were getting treats, because at the end of the summer, the sledgehammer of reality was going to come smashing down on me and my brother. We had no idea, but all of a sudden we're going to movies all the time. We got a fucking my dad brought an Atari 2600. Wow. We were just oh, finally, you guys caught up with how you should parent. But the reality was, no. This was the divorce boom of the 80s, and it didn't work out for my folks. But what a great fucking summer before. My God, it's very silly. I heard about this. This is really messed up. I heard about this form of execution. Maybe you've heard of this. Many say it happens in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if it still does, but basically what they do is they sentence you to death. And they don't put you on death row like they do here in the States. They put you in this really nice house. I mean, it's nice. You can't leave. There might be a courtyard. You can go out there and you can smoke. There's widescreen TVs. It's nice. Fun, really good food. But at any moment, from the moment you walk through that door into the future, any moment someone could come through the door and chop your fucking head off. I mean, it is going to happen. So you don't really get to enjoy the house, because you know that imagine at night, hear a sound. It's just the wind, but you're oh, this is it. So I guess that's kind of what it's not like we're getting executed. I mean, sometimes people need to get divorced. My parents needed to get divorced. You find that out later in life. You're fuck, what were you doing? I mean, that's the crazy thing. When you become a dad, a mom, when you get married, and you experience the same shit your parents experienced, that you have harshly judged them for, you just start seeing them in a whole new light. Sometimes in a less compassionate light, but more often in a far more compassionate light. Especially, holy shit, my parents were so young. People got married super young back then. And when I hear stories of the crazy shit that was going on with those two, and I'm not going to unload it on you right now. I think I have talked about it on a few podcasts, but for whatever reason, right now I'm feeling already some guilt about talking about it. I don't know why. Both of my parents have gone into the light, or not, but whoa. Those are crazy times back then. I mean, Vietnam. So many of our olds, so many of our dads had come back from Vietnam just real warped, real messed up. And they were trying to acclimate. They were trying to get back into default reality. And that is very hard. That's very hard for people when you're like, you're in some combination of like heaven and hell. Obviously hell. But I think there's something like for people out there, maybe it's the rush. Maybe it's like knowing that any moment you could die or something like makes you more alive than you ever were back in normal reality. But also you're just getting like PTSD. You're seeing things no one should ever see. You're seeing this like dark, fucked up reality. And then you come back from it. And then you have kids. And like, whoa. This is, again, karma. I mean, this is another, like, if humans have kleshas, like obscurations covering up the beauty of who they are, countries, cultures have obscurations too, right? Sort of collective fuck-ups that we all like are paying for now, for sure. Like, last I checked, and maybe this has gone up, the United States has been at war for 93% of its history, which is crazy. Which means like the odds are real high that either you were raised by someone with PTSD, your parents were raised by someone with PTSD, their parents were raised by someone with PTSD, and I think that brings us to your great fucking grandparents who were not good people. They were real fucked up. I don't want to bash them or anything like that, but whoa, they suck. Your great-great-grandparents, they sucked, man. But they have been relieved of their karmic obligation to boil in the cum pits, which definitely in my version of hell, I would have cum pits. Like, fucking like big, giant lakes of demon jizz. And to really like fuck with people in the cum pits, I would have lifeguards. So situated around the cum pits are going to be like pretty attractive, like 20-year-olds in like lifeguarding garb. Not demons, no horns. And yeah, like anytime you start going under, like anytime you start drowning in the cum, they save you. They like pull you out. They give you mouth to mouth. You puke up all the cum you breathed in, and then they throw you right back in the cum pits. I would definitely have cum pits in hell. Dante's Inferno, I don't know if you ever read it. I haven't. I did read Inferno, though, which is so stupid. But when I was a kid, I loved it. It's by Larry Niven and Jerry Purnell. Oh my God, when I was a kid, I just thought it was the best book ever. Science fiction writer, atheist, falls off, this isn't a spoiler, happens in the first chapter, falls off a balcony and wakes up in Dante's Inferno. I'll leave it there. The book does not age well, but if anyone watching this is like college or if you're in high school, I'm sorry. If I said anything that you haven't heard before, but you will like it. But this old crusty man who doesn't like the ice cream, adults passionate about ice cream. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, like adults who get too excited about Disney World or Disneyland. What was the other one I realized? Oh, and this is another like sign of my crust. Today, it's like 102 degrees here in Texas. I cleaned out the shed and I liked it. And that's when it really hit me. Like, holy shit. You've done it, man. You're old now. You've crossed over. Like, you've made the full transition into old dad land. Because, like, do you remember watching your parents do yard work? Like, and just thinking, like, you have a car. You have money. The world is out there. The beautiful world. You can go get ice cream. You can go to Disney World. There's so many things you could do, but you're fervently, passionately cleaning your shed? Like, what happened? What happened to you? You could go out on a bike. You could go for a walk, go to a public pool, go anywhere. But where are you, Dad? You're in a fucking shed, a hot shed. And you're blowing it out with a leaf blower. And roaches are being blown out of the shed. And you're smiling with a strange joy at this. Smiling, laughing at the roaches being blown out of your shed. What happened to you, man? That was me today. Fully happy. Like, fully happy. And this is even more pathetic. I did it. Like, I cleaned this fucking shed out. Let me tell you, this shed, like, there's another idea I've heard in Buddhism. Many say that if you have a happy house, like a clean house, that these beings will come to your house known as the Drala. I don't know what they are exactly. Maybe like elves or something. Maybe it's just like good energy. I don't know. But if that's true, the opposite is true too. So sometimes I think that like ghosts don't necessarily come from someone dying in a house, that the ghosts and demons are drawn to filth. Like hoarders. Jesus Christ, those houses must just be crawling with demons. I mean, do you ever play around with this idea that like roaches, flies, fruit flies, those gnats that hang out in the garbage can, these are just externalizations of a metaphysical force that if you're seeing those things around your house, there's a very good possibility there's some demons zipping around too. And if my theory is correct, and I'd say 100% it is correct, scientifically correct, I could prove it if I got the funding, that my shed was like a hell portal. Like, whoa, the thing happened, like a lot of people stay at my house. There's always just so many people at my house. And the shed is kind of like a place where you think about whether you want something or not. It's not supposed to be that, but it's, just an impossible amount of plastic Christmas candy canes were just scattered throughout the shed. A unopened box with something to help me move my boat that I bought when I had a truck, which I didn't need. And I was so embarrassed that it's a long story. Boats are quite often shameful. Like if you don't live next to a lake, what are you doing? But it's another part of like getting old. You're just like, I gotta get a boat. Went out once on that boat. Went out once. It was nice. But what a pain in the ass. But yeah, my shed, like seemingly sentient cockroaches were in there. Like, I don't know how to put it, but it felt like they knew more than they should. Like, they felt like they should be in a kid's book or something. Like, I kept thinking, like, this is like I don't know if you remember Nim. God, I'm old. I think it was called The Secret of Nim or The Rats of Nim. Like, these rats get injected. They get too smart, basically. It's essentially Planet of the Apes, but with rats. But yeah, these roaches, like, I felt like an invader. Like, I felt like, my God, this is the beginning of your movie. Like, you've made some kind of paradise in my fucking shed. I wondered to myself, what are they eating in here? Like, we don't put food in this shed. And then I pulled one of the strollers out and realized, oh, wow, it is crusted. The bottom of the stroller just crusted with just, juice, puke, just all the shit. You just can't even imagine what gets in a stroller. Like Wuhan level disease factory, probably. And so I realized what's happening here is we put the stroller in the shed and the roaches are like, thank you. a delivery of our precious nectar, and they just would go and like eat the slimy, like spilled glop. So yeah, I cleaned a shed and I fucking loved it. And you know, the kids helped me, which was really sweet. The boys helped me and they love it. I don't remember liking helping my parents. The other thing that happened to me today was I don't know what got into me. Like, I've been wanting to do this episode of the podcast. Maybe it's just procrastinating or something, but I decided, like, man, I need to do some like dad shit. So I was like unscrewing a kid seat from this dilapidated bike we don't use anymore. And I've got my tools out. And let me tell you, man, like all you men out there, you would like judge me harshly for my tool situation. Like my tools are a mess. I'm missing like wrenches. I don't know the name of the wrenches. Like I feel real, like I have one ball. I know I've talked about that before. I have one testicle. And I don't care. I don't care at all. Like the only one that I have left works great. I've got plenty of kids. I've got my sperm are very healthy, which I'm working on that. Like, I mean, I'm glad I have healthy sperm, but it'd be nice to not, you know, because my wife's very fertile. Like I don't do it, but sometimes I do think about like maybe I need to move my phone a little closer to the remaining testicle. But my point is, it doesn't bother me. Like once I was, and I don't think, if people do judge me for it, like they don't do it to my face, except, yeah, no one's really done it, except maybe like comedian friends who are fully allowed to do that. But like once I was at dinner with one of my girlfriend's friends, and she was like a real deep, like grimy hipster, dripping with obscure knowledge of all the like indie rock stars she'd banged. And she's kind of, you know, she didn't know. I don't think she knew I had one ball. She was talking about someone else with one ball, and she goes, "He's half a man." I didn't say anything. I judged her like horribly in that moment. But I also like thought about it like, is she right? Like just because it like upsets me because I'm a one ball having man or half man, maybe. Like you got to think, if someone insults you in a certain way, you got to wonder, like, is it true? Like, are you half a man if you have one ball? Like I probably put too much time thinking about that. And then I realized, oh, she's a fucking idiot. But it doesn't bother me. I was actually like talking to someone, like why am I trying to hide stuff? I was at my therapist and like mentioned it for the first time. And she's like, you know, that must be really intense, you know, because of what that means, you know, culturally. Really, I don't care, like, at all. I mean, it sucked to have cancer, obviously, but I never put a lot of like emphasis on my balls. Maybe my balls are small. Like when I watch porn, it seems like they're pretty comparable, but maybe that's why. I don't know. But my point is, but I'll tell you what does make me feel fucking emasculated is my tool situation. Like my toolbox situation is real bad, and I don't know the names of all the tools in there. And like I recognize this is some kind of like cultural stereotype. Like I who cares if you don't know how to use fucking tools? But it bothers me. It really does. It bothers me. And sometimes I feel like, man, they need to have like carpentry classes for like old dads who didn't go to shop class. I would take that. Like just some basic, like, here's how you like put up drywall or something. Like, I want to know that. Like, I don't know why. I think it depends on the kind of parent you have. And this is what I was trying to get at. The type of dad I had was not a happy tool using dad. Like, I don't know if you had that kind of dad, but I've seen comedians talk about it. Freddie Soto had a great fucking joke about it. God rest his soul. But like, you know, like dads who are inexplicably enraged when they're working on anything. Like my dad, when he was working on something, his breathing would be like, and inevitably he'd like smash his hand. Like inevitably he would like, something would happen. A hammer would drop on his foot. And holy shit, it was terrifying to watch the expletives that would just spray out of his fucking mouth and his face would turn red. And God help you if you were nearby, even if you had nothing to do with it. It was his fault. He was drinking, 7 beers in, trying to like work on his car. Or I don't know what. I don't even remember. It's very foggy, but I remember the terror of watching him explode. And God help you if in the midst of him working on something, you interrupt him. And because like, whoa, like it was Mount St. Helens. Like it was scary. And he would smoke too. Like back then, our parents fucking were completely not ashamed of smoking. Like they would fucking just chain smoke. So, he'd be sitting there working on something, smoking and drinking beers. And then you would come over and be like, hey, Dad, do you want, you better get out of here. So I that was like scary for me, but it happened. Like my sweet, sweet kid came over. And I didn't explode like that, but I was like terse. I'm like, there's lots of places to play right now. You don't have to be right here. I'm trying to get this baby seat off the bike. But that's the other thing. Like it's an echo. Like I felt it. I felt the like dad working on something, kid nearby, like hyper irritation. Then like when I was done, I went to my like kid. This is like a lot of dads. We don't know why. Like when we're working on stuff with tools, we get real grumpy and irritable. We're trying to concentrate. And, when you're coming over a lot and like almost like knocking the bike over on top of us, it's just the way it is. But, I love you. That's the way I've been trying to do it, right? Like, when you have the contagion, it's some kind of temporal contagion, when it started with your great-great-great-grandparents. And by the way, let me be specific right now. I'm talking about your great-great-great-grandparents. I'm not talking about mine. Mine were wonderful fucking people. Beautiful, sweet people, kind. They loved the earth. They loved birds. And they were the sweetest people in Georgia. They got that award. I'm talking about literally your great-great-grandparents were fucked up. So I don't know how like the poison got into my family, but yours, everyone knows. Your great-great-great-grandparents were fucking horrible people, and they scared your great-grandparents, who scared your grandparents, who scared your parents, and now you've got to carry the burden of their fear. They're that bad. You can fart in time. I don't think people realize that the stinky, the stink of the sort of the temporal flatulence of horrific people continues to radiate out through the years in the form of humans who are secretly or maybe not so secretly dealing with like a series of really bad ways of living in the world. Like it doesn't take that many people to stink up a generation. And your great-great-great-grandparents truly, like all of this might be their fault. And that's a heavy burden to carry with you. But to summarize, I realize I guess I'm crusty. I don't want to be. I judge you if you are super into going to theme parks. And by the way, I'm not saying like it's not. It's fun. I did it. You know, you go to the Disneyland or whatever, and you're just like, what the fuck? What the fuck have I done? And that's the right reaction. So all of us do that. That's fine. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who are real frothy over it, really too into it, man, who know like all the ins and outs of the theme park, and they just bother me. And usually there's a convergence. Those people are ice cream fetishists, and you know, they're the same people who really get excited about ice cream. I judge them. And 3, I enjoy cleaning out my shed today. I mean, maybe I'm just confessing to you so you know what you're watching. You know, I love Buddhism. I love God. And I know maybe for some Buddhists out there, you might think that's weird, like theistic Buddhism. I don't know. And I believe world peace is possible. I think that's one of the weirdest things about me. Like, the other day I realized like I still think there's some possibility that almost instantaneously something can happen that creates a chain reaction that shifts planetary consciousness into an almost unrecognizable form from where it is right now. That in fact, it almost seems like the framework is being set up for that to happen. That it's all in place, like everything's being set up. And I think it could really happen, like world peace, like actual world peace, a kind of collective and subjective recognition of true value, which is love and connectivity and selflessness. But I'm telling you, if you're like super excited about going to Disneyland or Disney World, like really into it, and you're a grown-up, it's hard for me to shake that off. I will try, but it's going to be hard for me to do that. I'm going to judge you. It's a klesha. Like at least I recognize it. At least I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't do this, but I will. If I see a YouTube video with somebody giving a negative review of a theme park, I'm already pissed off if they don't have kids. It's like, what are you fucking doing there? Of course it sucks. Are you crazy? You thought this would work? You thought it'd be fun? To go into like a money milking hypnotic hell maze where you can't even gamble? You know, at least Vegas, it's like, I am the devil. Come here and let me destroy you. Like Disney World is like, it's a world of laughter, a world of joy, and dancing me where we stand. It's a small, small world. Meanwhile, those people in the fucking costumes are getting paid minimum fucking wage, sleeping in their cars in the parking lot. They're like blasted on meth. It's the only way they can get through the fucking day, walking around in that fucking giant outfit, and there's tunnels under the park, man. You have no idea what's going on down there. I've heard stories. It's scary. Not to mention the deaths. You'll never know how many people die in any given theme park per day, but I would imagine more than you think. The other thing that a big klesha of mine that I can't shake off is like adults who throw birthday parties for themselves. Man, that one's real fucking weird to me. Like, I don't know what it is. You know, I think a lot of this could just be like my own, like, not wanting to die. Maybe something about like people who acknowledge and confront that it's another year or something. There's some courage. I'm trying to like put lipstick on this fucking stinking cadaver right now. But you know, at some point, like when you're old, like here's the problem. When you're throwing birthdays for yourself, and you're publicizing it in some way. Putting on your socials, whatever. Is like, at first it seems cool. You know what I mean? Like you're in your 20s, okay, great. You made it out of college and now you're in your 20s, fun. But then once you start getting up in years and the friends who are at your birthday in the earlier years aren't there anymore. They've gotten married, they've had kids, whatever, they've died. Maybe you have new friends, no friends, or and you're getting older. Like something about it seems like really sad and scary. Like you're in this terrible wrestling match with the reality that you're slowly being aerosolized by time. And you think that by every year doing some kind of ritualistic hedonic blowout, you're extending your lifespan or protecting yourself from the inevitable void that is potentially like around the corner. But yeah, I mean, also, I'm sorry, I try to be very honest in my podcast. So I just turned 50, and poor Aaron has probably heard me say, like, well, for every year that we've been together, like, I don't want to celebrate my birthday. I don't want any gifts. And then this year, she didn't give me a gift. And you have to understand, like, she's the sweetest person and she likes doing it. Like, I had to like tell her over and over, please, I was born once. Real crusty old bullshit. But I got butthurt. Like, I've literally told her, don't do this, and she didn't do it. And like, I didn't know how to express it because like, I recognize, like, I've told this person for years, don't do it. And then she didn't do it. And then I'm like, what the fuck? Why? It's my 50th birthday. Like, it's a big deal. So I just want all of you people who throw yourselves birthday parties, enjoy theme parks and eat ice cream. You might be the salt of the earth. Like, really, as I'm saying it right now, on paper, it sounds great. You sound healthy. You sound joyful. You're like, yeah, I throw a birthday party for myself. I when it's hot, I love some Rocky Road. And, you know, anytime I can make it out to Disney World, it's a joy. I just love the Magic Kingdom. I mean, obviously, you sound like way more balanced and like in tune with default reality than this old man who's like, don't want birthdays. I'm not going to stand in line to get ice cream. I like cleaning out sheds when it's hot and leaf blowing roaches. Like, so just know I'm cognizant of the fact that like I'm the one here with issues, not you, not healthy you, not healthy. I mean, you're so healthy, eating that ice cream, having some hot dogs at the Magic Kingdom. Just walking around at the Magic Kingdom, mid-30s, just loving it. Oh my God, did you go to Epcot? No way. I bet you stayed in the park, didn't you? You just stayed in the fucking park. Got so excited when you finally met Mickey. That must have felt good to get a hug from Mickey. As a 35-year-old, you're able to forget that inside that fucking costume was probably a 70-year-old man. Didn't have a 401k. Kids, they don't talk to him anymore. He made some bad parenting decisions. Now, like, all he's got left is like just dressing up like Mickey fucking Mouse. And that suit, just hot. The meds aren't working anymore. The heart medication isn't working anymore. He managed to hide it when he got hired, that he had a bad heart. Because if they knew that he had a bad heart, there's no fucking way they're going to let him walk around as Mickey Mouse, because he's a ticking time bomb. Like, any day, Mickey Mouse is just going to collapse. And one of those manholes is going to open up and he's going to get dragged down into the tunnels. His body yanked out of the suit. But it meant a lot when he came and hugged you, because you couldn't see inside the suit. You couldn't see the tears flowing down those wrinkled cheeks as he realized he kind of looked like his daughter. And he's just thinking about all the fucked up things he did to her, like when he made her get a swastika tattoo. But you had I'm glad you had a great time there, healthy ice cream loving person. I bet your shed is filthy. I bet you've got a filthy, filthy fucking shed. I bet you lock your shed on the birthday parties you throw for yourself. I don't know how much juice this camera has or if it's even still rolling. But before we go, I want to show you this book Aaron's been reading. I don't know what happened to her. She suddenly has this stack of books like this. I guess when I was a kid, my mom read Harlequin romances, and these are racy romance books. But because we are living in the age of Satan or some kind of escalating age of pure depravity and hedonism, Harlequin romances have evolved into H.D. Carlton, and this is insane. I'm going to read it to you. I don't know what this is going to do to the algorithm, but basically, like the setup here, and I want to spoil this book. The setup of Does It Hurt is, I guess, this lady's a thief, and she stole the identity of a shark expert. And so they're like, after she like screwed him over, they're hooking up on his boat. This episode of the DTFH is brought to you by Load Boost. This is my Load Boost chest. Thank you, Load Boost, for sending this to me. I really love you guys. It's filled with plastic sperm, but underneath the sperm, ow, I just pinched my moob in the chest, is Load Boost. Actually, it's time for me to take my Load Boost. You got to take it for 2 weeks, and I am taking it. I don't know which part of the podcast this commercial is going to show up in, but I do have one ball, and I'm not sure how much that affects the amount of used blast, but it can't be great for it. Load Boost is, it's really interesting. I'm going to be honest, I've been a little skeptical. Like, how could this even work? How could it work, right? Like, how could it really increase your loads? But, down the hatch. Load Boost contains a blend of pygium, zinc, lecithin, and more. And also, it's the favorite supplement of people in the adult film industry. And it was formulated by a U.S. licensed medical doctor at VB Health. I'm reading the copy to honor the sponsor, but the real way to honor the sponsor is to test the medicine. And, I'm going to say this. When I was younger, it was something of a problem, pleasuring oneself. You need a lot of Kleenexes, right? And I haven't really experienced that reality for a long time until I started taking Load Boost. Are you kidding me? It hasn't been 2 weeks, but I gotta say, man, wow. I found myself very surprised, shocked, and also like, damn, this is crazy. Like, really? Like, there's a way to change the sad, slow drizzle of life that was dripping out of me into a geyser, into a beautiful geyser. I haven't tasted it yet, but apparently it also changes the taste. I will let you know. I'm guessing that's because it's got pineapple extract in it. You know, my theory with any of this stuff, though I do love the science behind it, is does it work? Does it work? And I will taste. I'll taste it. I'll let you know. I'm kind of putting that one off. But so far, so good. Like, thank you, Load Boost. I really appreciate it. I never, like, it's one of those things, you know? Like, when you're my age, you just, a lot of things, just like, yeah, well, that's gone. Well, that's gone. It's not going to happen anymore. And then science comes to your door and says, hey, do you want to blast like you used to? Do you want to explode? Do you want to create messes? Do you want, like, thick, crusty, ruined socks next to your bed? Well, we can do that for you again if you're interested. And I am interested. And thank you so much, Load Boost, for this incredible contribution to medicine. Visit loadboost.com and use code Duncan to get 10% off. You know, a lot of things claim to be the fountain of youth, but only Load Boost will turn you in to the fountain of youth. Again, it's loadboost.com. Use code Duncan to get 10% off, or just click the link in this episode description. Thank you, Load Boost. Okay, here we go. So he's banging her on this boat. I'm trying to find it. Tell me how, he murmurs in my ear, his voice hardening. Even with an orgasm on the horizon, an alarm starts ringing in the back of my head when his hand tightens. How what? I choke out, his thrusts becoming more savage. Tell me how you can fuck me so easily knowing that you've stolen from me. My eyes widen, and though my body turns solid stone, he doesn't stop rolling his hip. He knows. He's known this whole time, and I walk right into his trap like an idiot. It's like you're fucking begging for me to break you. A whimper breaks through the constrictive barrier his hand is creating around my windpipe, and my hands fly to his, clawing at them to release me. He doesn't stop thrusting, and despite the terror beginning to take over, I'm still on the precipice of... You know what? You want to draw blood, baby? He breathes, forcing my head back until his lips are poised over mine. I could do worse, he whispers, rolling his hips again. His C, I'm sorry, audio listeners, it's for YouTube. And I'm positive that I can't do like softcore porn. His C, you know what that means, hitting a spot that has my eyes threatening to roll. I force them ahead, desperately trying to bring myself away from oblivion, but he's making it impossible when he hits the spot there. Let me go, I wheeze, scraping my nails harder. I said I'd give you a kiss for coming with me, didn't I? Unlike you, I'm not a effing liar. And just as the last word slipped from his mouth, his teeth... Wait, I'm sorry. I read the wrong character for him. Let me go, I wheeze. I said I'd give you a kiss for coming with me, didn't I? Unlike you, I'm not an effing liar. And just as the last word slipped from his mouth, his teeth clamp onto my bottom lip and bite hard. I squeal, thrashing against him as copper fills my mouth. This isn't an effing kiss. It feels like he's trying to sever my GD lip from my face. He rips himself away, breathing heavily, my blood smeared across his chin. I'm gasping for breath, terror constricting my chest from the feral look on his face. He's effing scaring me. And as his eyes zero in on my bleeding lip, I have a sick feeling he hasn't even begun to truly scare me yet. Such a pretty sight to see you bleed for me, he rasps. I don't think I'm the only thing that'll love it, though. Before his words can be processed, he's forcing my head down. Immediately, his intentions become clear. My eyes widen as a horror unlike anything I've ever felt grabs a hold of me, of my heart, my lungs, my entire effing being. No! 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 I scream, fighting like my life depended on it, because my life does depend on it. You wanted to be a shark expert, baby girl. You wanted to take that from me? Then you gotta learn how to effing swim with them. My pleas are cut off as he finally pushes my head in the water. My eyes open immediately, burning from the salt, but I hardly notice, not when I see the blood from my lips swirling within the seawater. The water where two massive great white sharks are lurking. I desperately thrash against them, feeling like the predator in the water is going to come up any second and bite me. Meanwhile, Enzo continues to move. He's like, you get the idea of what's happening right now. They're still doing it. Like, you see what's happening here? Like, this is, by the way, page 75. This is the very beginning of this fucking book. And this lady who is a thief who stole this guy's identity is getting banged down on a boat with her head in the water, bleeding. Like, this guy's like banging her and using her as shark bait simultaneously. And this Does It Hurt is like in this new genre of like whatever this is. Like, Aaron was like, this makes 50 Shades of Grey seem like nothing. So it's this whole new BDSM genre of like romance books. And she has, no joke, I'm guessing 9 of them by her bed now. And apparently there's like book clubs where these MILFs just get together and like talk about this. It's actually pretty, might finish this one. It's, look, a little picture of a shark in there. Well, friends, look, I got to wrap this thing up. Thank you for letting me do solo episodes. I'm sorry if I seem like an old grump. I feel good. I love you, and I love you for watching this. We're going to do a combination of solo episodes, interviews. I don't know what's next on the horizon. For my sweet audio-only listeners, thank you so much for listening to this. For all of you, thank you. I love you. Thank you to our sponsors. I got to get out of here. Happy Memorial Day if you're listening to this on Memorial Day. And God bless you. Enjoy your theme park if that's what you like. Enjoy your Memorial Day ice cream. Throw a birthday for yourself. Why not? Doesn't matter. Nothing matters underneath all that, whatever that is, that thick, sort of old, too sweet frosting that you've smeared over yourself as you battle against your own mortality. There's a light. Beautiful, beautiful light. So, eat your cream, baby. Love the mouse. Throw a party for yourself. But whatever you do, don't go into the fucking light. Don't get on the ships. I'll see you next week.